They have by far the highest ceiling out of any team in the league. Elite talent, NBA shot making, versatility, and the best coach in the league in John Shire. They can beat you in multiple ways. Half court, full court, run and gun, walk it up. And they out-execute you, maybe except for that game versus Texas Tech.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
When did we become, so bitter that we can't accept another man's apology? We make mistakes all the time. And as a grown man, you have to say, I'm sorry every once in a while. And it's okay to say that. And the apology, I think, should be accepted. And in this case, I'm accepting it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League are now official partners with Kalshi. It takes effect this week. Each side can use the other's intellectual property for co-marketing purposes, and Kalshi will be promoted during home games at the United Center and on Blackhawks broadcasts. First of its kind, certainly probably not the last as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Arvel Reese at 8%. I got to tell you right now, I have no idea who that is if they're playing a Joe Foreman show.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting
Who is that?
here, but I have no idea.
You even know?
But no idea. But don't you have to pick the Heisman winner, Don? Isn't that like the rule of thumb if you're going to take a quarterback? Is he not the best quarterback?
The Early Line, only on Sports.
Game time decisions live on SportsGrid. What do you say, folks? It is a Tuesday, and it is an eventful Tuesday. Big news out of the National Football League. The Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winning head coach, have parted ways after nearly 2 decades together. We will expand on that in just a little bit and throughout our 2 hours here tonight live on the Decisions Desk. We do have for you, though, an excellent slate of college basketball as we are now getting into the heart of the hoop season. The best game on this board projects to be Louisville, Duke. Certainly your most high-profile game. Sports books across the map stepping up with odds boosts directly correlated to this game here, where it is a top 20 battle. It is Duke checking in as a slight road favorite. Mikel Brown for Louisville, their superstar freshman, remains out with a back injury. He will not play in this game. The Cardinal, an 11-3 group, started ACC play on the West Coast with a back-to-back against Cal and Stanford, where they were able to get a split. Duke has started ACC play 2-0, but 2 games relative to the spread, wildly unimpressive. A 6-point victory against Georgia Tech, where they laid over 20, and a 4-point win against Florida State on the road, where they laid double digits still. This is a huge step-up spot here, and a game that I think is very likely to have an impact on the Wooden Award. You could say that that would be an overreaction, but Cam Boozer has been the most forceful player in college basketball early season. He, though, very recently and very narrowly was passed by A.J. Dybonsa as it pertains to the scoring lead across college basketball. Dybonsa is at 23.1. Boozer is at 23 flat. But for Boozer, as he gets into ACC play, a conference that does not have countless marquee games is the best way to put it. These make all the difference. Now, there is an argument, one of the hidden gems on this college basketball schedule is that there is a late February game between Duke and Michigan, and that right there could decide a lot of favorites in a lot of places. Just right now, though, I think a Louisville victory here, if Boozer struggles in a loss, could put him to plus money, where he has not been for a while. We will break this game down. I know some folks who are stepping up for this one, both sides of this basketball game. It is not the only great game on your college basketball slate tonight. And it's not the only ranked versus ranked matchup in the Big 12. Number 7 Houston against number 14 Texas Tech. A Red Raiders group who had a pretty slow start to their season actually turned it around with a comeback win against the Duke Blue Devils and are starting to feel a little bit closer to their preseason expectations. Houston has been a very they've been not under-discussed, they've been rightfully not talked about. They've not moved anybody. They've not really played much of anybody. I know they had a really fun game against Arkansas, but aside from that, their trip to Vegas was one of the least eventful of any teams that actually made that trip. This is a fun spot here to see what this Houston team has, who's built very differently, right? With Kingston Fleming's, 4 or 5-star freshman point guard maybe being their most important player. Chris Sinak coming on, but still, of course, holdovers like JoJo Tugler, Manny Sharp, and Milos Uzan. Not the only Big 12 teams in ranked action. Kansas plays tonight. How about Oklahoma State, slight favorite at home against a top 25 UCF? We'll follow those games. You've got Michigan laying 20-plus at Penn State. Yaxel Lendenborg questionable for this game. However, on the Penn State side, their leading scorer, Caden Mingo, out for this basketball game. Buyer beware. A classic college hoop spot, but multiplied by 5. Florida, unranked, at home against ranked 18th Georgia. Gators, a 9.5-point favorite. I do think we've graduated. I think now maybe that's, here, and that's okay in this ecosystem, but, somebody knows something. Yeah, they know Florida's better than Georgia, is what they know. That's really what it comes down to. Gators have had some tough, close losses, but it's important to remember they've been close losses. And if not for the TCU result, I actually think you could argue Florida should still be ranked, quite frankly. They aren't. It's fine. It's a long season. It's going to be a great night of college basketball. Just quickly, elsewhere on the board tonight, certainly you will see folks getting involved with the NBA. The King of the Court promo in action, as always. Heat Wolves looks like probably the best game on this slate. There is a promo on FanDuel that I read through multiple times because it looked insane, and it just is. Now, if you're betting a points prop tonight, hey, why not tack it on? But, hey, get a share of bonus bets if your guy scores 50. 50. 50. I like Alex Sarr in the promo. What? Can I get Santi Aldama? What are we doing here? How many guys on tonight's slate could have ever scored 50? 2? 3? That's just a knucklehead promo. Just a knucklehead. I'm sorry. We love odds boost. We love promo. That's a knucklehead promo, man. You want to say, hey, we're going to roll it over to the next day or something? That'd be interesting. So if you don't want to, I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all. Hey, I like Pascal for 50 tonight. All right. Good game on the ice tonight. I'm involved with the ice. Why wouldn't you be? Lightning, Avs, Colorado off a loss. We'll talk about it. We'll talk more about the NFL news. Now, we, of course, will get into your wild card weekend spreads. We'll talk to Brady Cannon, get his insight around the odds, what he is seeing. And with a limited card, if you have some key numbers, where is it important to be patient? When should you be acting now? I think those are key things to discuss. And we will talk about all of the head coach openings here in the National Football League. You do not, listen, all right? We had a feeling this was coming. Typically, you get Kevin Seven on a Tuesday. We felt like there was going to be another firing. We were going to rank the head coach openings. We were rightfully patient. But we could have tried to piecemeal something together once the Harbaugh news became official. Yeah, we could have put a placeholder Baltimore in. We wanted to let that dust settle. We did. We'll do it tomorrow. But we will still talk about the decision made in Baltimore today to fire, part ways, however you want to dress it up, John Harbaugh. The first piece of business is the fact that the Ravens made this decision, and it is this despite the fact that Harbaugh is going to become incredibly sought after, a decision the Ravens needed to make unless they were ready to move on from Lamar Jackson. Talked about it at length yesterday here on Game Time Decisions. Lamar and Harbaugh were not in sync, and it has been the case for a little while. Harbaugh getting up to that podium and saying Lamar is on his way back, and then Lamar not being back was the clearest indicator you had available to the public. And Lamar did not back Harbaugh at the post-game press conference after the loss to Pittsburgh. And if you're the Ravens and you're the choice, is Lamar Jackson a multi-time MVP under 30 or John Harbaugh? The right decision is to back the multi-time MVP. Now, we'll talk more about that decision, but it's a decision that knocks down dominoes. And we have now already seen ESPN's Adam Schefter report that Harbaugh is expected to become the favorite for the New York Giants job. What's interesting, though, is it feels as if Harbaugh will have any job he wants. We'll talk more about that tonight when we get to Louisville Duke next, right here on Game Time.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? You know, no, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over that. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Live here on a Tuesday night, the college basketball board calling names. I know it. My best bet comes from that slate. AJ's best bet comes from that slate. Yarnelli's best bet comes from that slate. NBA young boy Chris. My gosh, you got to be kidding me. That's incredible, man. I'm more than positive he swore off betting the NBA this morning. This guy misses football, misses baseball. But we're going to root them in all the same. Louisville-Duke tonight, a huge matchup in the ACC. You could certainly argue the two best teams in this conference, with perhaps Virginia or North Carolina wanting to make a case to be inside that top two. Certainly a couple of teams that you would put inside that top five. Now, this game does not get to give us a showcase between two elite freshmen, which is a shame. It's the second time this season, actually, Duke has been put in a game where we were hoping it was going to be a battle between elite freshmen, and Boozer's there, and the other's not. Darren Peterson missing, of course, the matchup between Duke and Kansas at the Garden. So what you have here tonight, though, still for Louisville, is a team who has been without Mikal Brown for a long time now, it feels like. In college basketball, 4 games this time of the year, he hasn't played since the 13th against Memphis. Mikal Brown actually had to put out some tweets addressing the rumors around his back injury. It's not great. I actually think it's one of those things where if you told me Mikal Brown doesn't play again this season, it's not a 0%. And that's certainly going to help hurt Louisville's potential to go deep in March and be one of the best teams in college basketball. Because I think they still have an argument as one of the best offenses in the country, if not, when Mikal Brown was out there, were probably my favorite offense in college basketball to watch. The 5 best offenses by offensive efficiency are Purdue, Alabama, Illinois, Louisville, and Michigan. Feels right. Not far behind Vanderbilt, Iowa State, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Duke might as well round out the top 10. So you know you have 2 high-octane offenses in this game. What's very interesting is when you try and look at how they've all matched up here, right? Duke has not really played a handful of elite offenses so far. Texas is a good offense. That was the opening game of the college basketball season. Again, Kansas, no Darren Peterson. It's not been a banner year for them offensively. Florida's a little bit more defensive. Michigan State's way more defensive. Arkansas can score it, but again, they're not Louisville level. The best offense so far we've seen Duke play is probably Texas Tech, and they did lose that game. Now, they were up 17. It was by 1, but they did lose that basketball game. So there's some push and pull there. What's interesting for Louisville is when you look at their results, the better offenses they faced, right, have been able to score on them. And what are the elite defenses we point to, right? I think Kentucky could end up an elite defense by season's close. It was not when it went to play Louisville at Louisville, as they gave up 96. Arkansas is good defensively. They won the game by 9. Tennessee's always good defensively. They dominated Louisville. But then you have the home court advantage. And that is the thing for me. If I were to be involved with this game tonight, I would be on Louisville. Now, here's the deal. This is a push and pull game. I know someone who stepped up, loves Duke here. All right? It's one of their games of the year, 2026. It's on the board. It's their game of the year, and it is January 6th. But I lean Louisville. Here's the thing. I don't want to go. You don't want to go against a friend, right, in their game of the year. You try not to. So I opted to leave alone the side, and this game will actually be featuring as a best bet from someone else on the show. On the other side, you probably can figure it out. We might as well put it on the board. AJ's rocking with Louisville as a best bet. And I don't disagree. I can't say I'm rooting against AJ. I'd like to root for, but AJ's a buddy as well. Oh man. I'll say if it ended in a tie and everyone got their money back, that might be what we need to see. Lean over in this game. All right. It's a tough spot, folks. It's a tough spot. It's one of 2 ranked games tonight. The other is Houston and Texas Tech. I like the Houston team total here. Houston defensively is not yet at the level of previous seasons. I think that is pretty undeniable. Last year, they were the best defense in college basketball by season's end. Season before that, they were second. Right now, they are 8th. I didn't say it was bad, right? But tonight, they play a very capable Texas Tech offense. but not as much on the defensive side of the ball. Tech ranks outside the top 50 defensively. And why Houston is such an appealing team is they are structured very differently this year. Again, we talk about the returners and Manny Sharp and Milos Uzan, and Uzan has had a really tricky start to this season full of expectations. Maybe that Cincinnati game is a step in the right direction. 18 points, 50% from the floor, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. It's possible. I like Kingston Flemings. The folks that I make sure to follow on draft Twitter were in on Fleming. So I'm not surprised to see him contribute more than, say, an Isaiah Harwell, who was a McDonald's All-American. Chris Sinax, again, he's going to figure it out. Sinax, it's different, right? The Houston big men are supposed to be undersized, defensive monsters. Sinax was supposed to be a one-and-done, diaper dandy. Shout out Dickie V. He's trying to find his footing. I think a lot of it points to this Houston team being a little bit more offensively grounded than defensively grounded, relatively speaking to Houston teams in the past. I like their team total over at 74.5 tonight. So that's where the ranked action is on this card. For me, I have locked in 5 different bets on the college basketball board. So we will do those after the break. I am involved in Lightning Avs. I know that that's going to sound crazy, but broke that game down. I think we've got a good angle there. And we'll take a look at your NBA slate tonight, what jumps out here on this Tuesday. So still to come, best bets. We'll go through the full menu with all of you after the quick break, live on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are locking in for this college basketball board here today, people. It is a really, really good one. You know when you have a good college basketball slate in front of you, that is exactly what we have here. Let's start with going through the other notable college basketball games, and some of these games that I am betting in won't even actually be featuring a ranked team, which is true for the best bet. So let's put that on the board, all right? I like the St. John's offense to bounce back against Butler. Now, We know how important home court advantage is. The St. John's team might not be all that good, so I'll respect Butler. I'm not going to lay the number. But that's an up-and-down team, and St. John's offensively, everybody outside of Zuby Ejiofor needs to pick their head up and step up. This team lost to Providence. Zuby Ejiofor scored 33 points on 50% from the field. Now, he did shoot 14 of 23 from the line, which is bad, but it's hard to point a finger at Zuby when the rest of the team shot 12 of 56, which is 21.4% from the field for 38 points. I think the St. John's offense steps up here. It's my favorite bet on your card tonight. Team total over 84.5. Chris with a 1-2 step in the NBA. Hero and Castle, each for 15-plus points. And then Yarnell has Fresno State, San Jose State over the 149.5, little off the beaten path for the college basketball slate as well. I have two sides that I played tonight, a pair of favorites, okay? I laid 6.5 with Auburn. Auburn is at home. They have not had a number of spots where they've been able to step up yet so far in their building against competition. This A&M team is not really good at much of anything, or elite, I should say, at much of anything. They just run a lot. Auburn is good offensively. They got big guard in, Key Hall. I guess former, he's really slimmed down. Nevertheless, I think that this Auburn team, in a pacey environment, A&M can't score with them. I think they cover 6.5. I did, if you will, bite the forbidden fruit a little bit and lay points on the road with Iowa. Laid 5. I know the Hawkeyes, both losses are on the road. Michigan State, Iowa State. Minnesota is a far, far cry from that. Now, the obvious worry in this game is how slow it projects to be played. These are two of the slowest teams in college basketball, both bottom 15 in pace. It could make it hard to separate. However, if Iowa can get up early, 18-6, the game might be over. It may be too insurmountable to work its way back at the pace that game is going to be played. We laid it. And then in your first ranked game tonight featuring Michigan and Penn State, I'm on under 167.5. We do not know officially if Yaxel Lendenborg is going to miss this game. He has an argument, though, that he's been the best offensive player, if not the best player, early season in college basketball. He's got a calf injury. I don't know if they play him because Penn State's best player, or at least leading scorer and assister and rebounder in Caden Mingo, is out in this game. And even if you do play Yax, how many minutes? 18? That's what he played against USC. 25 at most. Because, by the way, that's what you usually only get out of Yax anyway, because they smash everyone. So I like under 167.5 tonight. I think the injury report tonight leans under in that college basketball game. Now, as far as the NHL goes, Avs Lightning jumps off the page a little bit because we know how good this Colorado team is. Light number on this group, around -115. It has been bet up a little bit on Colorado to handle business here on the road against Tampa Bay. Why is this number so light? Well, Tampa Bay is hot right now, arguably your hottest team in the NHL. They've won 7 straight games, and the offense is on fire. They've scored at least 4 goals in all 7 of those victories. The Avs are off a loss. What is remarkable about a team who has as many points as they do, who has lost as few of games as they have, is they have not only lost multiple games in a row this season, they had a 4-game losing streak. They don't really lose in regulation, which is kind of one of the things. They've only lost, I believe, 3 times in regulation. But what is most important is against the Panthers, they scored 1 goal. The other 2 times they have scored 1 goal this season, they scored 6 in the next game. The total 6.5, you could get this from the Avs on their own, over 6.5 Avs Lightning. The NBA slate starts a little bit later. 8 o'clock tips. There are a couple of 7 o'clock games that we will get to here for the King of the Court options tonight. Luka Doncic, though, will be your most popular guy and expected favorite to win in that market. Let's dive more into the college basketball slate here. Tons of ranked action, and it's next on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live on SportsGrid, now joined by Matthew Winnick. We've talked to, if I remember correctly, last on the opening night of the college basketball season. Not to downplay all the things that have happened since, but it does feel like tonight is kind of the reinvigoration of the college basketball slate. It cannot be ignored on a night like this. So, Matt, we really appreciate you taking some time here. And I want to start right at the top with the Michigan Wolverines. They're an outrageous favorite tonight, except is it really outrageous if they're going to go and cover and win this game by 30? They are the clear favorites early season. They are more than half the next closest team when it comes to win the national championship. The Ken Pom number is making my eye twitch because I know how historic it is, and I want to be mad at it, but I'm not really sure I have any reason to be mad at it. The question might sound ridiculous, but I think you've confirmed to me it's not. Is it possible that Michigan is actually this good?
Yeah, well, you referenced Ken Pom. They are the second best team in Ken Pom's history. The number one team, Duke, of 1998 to 99, was before I was born. So this is the team I've ever seen in my living life. The reason why it's sustainable, and I do think it is sustainable, is not because they're red hot from three. They're the 53rd best three-point shooting team there. They can shoot all, but pure dominance. And if you think about variance in basketball, like that's way more sustainable. They're number one in the country in offense, and they're number one in the country in two-point defense. This is in Synergy's database over the last 10 years, the single best rim defense that has ever occurred in Division I men's college basketball. They're huge, they're athletic, they defend, they run really fast on offense, and they'll beat you down the floor. It's not just three-point luck. Like, this team is dominant in every category. They're going to beat you, they're going to break you down in every single way possible. And because they play so fast, there's so many possessions, it's easier to cover these huge numbers.
What is interesting, and because I hadn't realized that Duke team had held the number one spot. I've always had my fascination with the platoon squad at Kentucky that Calipari completely fumbled. They didn't win the title, then that Duke team did not win the title. Last year's Duke team didn't win the title, so I guess perhaps there is hope for everybody else that someone else can win the national championship. You know, Matthew, that there will be a lot of bets on Duke to do just that. The incredible thing is, after last year's group, the thought was like, man, can they be as good? And they're not as good, but they might have a player as good as Cooper Flagg leading the charge in Cam Boozer. He very quickly established himself not just as the favorite for the Wooden Award, but really separated on it. What do you think the key is to look for tonight between Louisville and Duke?
Yeah, I think this is a good buy low on Duke. If you're someone that's a Duke fan, they've slipped a lot in analytical metrics over the last few games. They obviously had their stunning loss by 1 point to Texas Tech, their only loss of the year, but they did not come close to covering against Georgia Tech or against Florida State. So they're ranked a lot lower in metrics than they were 2 weeks ago. Louisville just came off of a West Coast road trip. They don't have star point guard Mikal Brown. Still a very good team that can definitely score on Duke's defense that's looked suspect of late. But if you do like this Duke squad and you do think that, peaks and valleys happen over a college basketball season, they are as low in the market as they have been all season. And Cameron Boozer has still been his dominant self throughout the entire season.
For the Louisville side, and they're not the only team going through this, the Darren Peterson stuff's been fascinating with Kansas, but Mikal Brown out. He then had to basically send out a tweet, public statement, kind of, shooing off rumors. For me, when you get the five-star freshmen, though, it's always on the board that they kind of shut things down. Not that Mikal Brown has said that. I'm sure he'd love to get back out there. But how much does his absence cap the ceiling of this Louisville team, Matthew?
It does, but not as much as you might think, just because a lot of other players on Louisville's roster are Mikal Brown-esque, namely Ryan Conwell, their starting two guard. Because in Darren Peterson's case, he's the only real three-point shooter, real perimeter threat for Kansas. So when he's out, the look is entirely different. They're a completely different team. Versus with Louisville, they're going to play the same way. They're going to take the same shots. Mikal Brown is one of the best players in the country at hitting tough shots, so obviously he limits what they're able to do, but it doesn't completely reinvent a roster. And if I'm thinking about teams that are probably better off, obviously they're better with Mikal Brown, but better sustaining these big injuries, a team like Louisville who won't change their style is probably better off. So
the Iowa Hawkeyes tonight, they go to Minnesota. They'll do so as a 5.5 point favorite. It is jarring, the year-over-year pace change for this team. Obviously, the coaching change was always going to lead to that. It's a group who, so far, against their two best opponents, did lose both games. Iowa State was close. Michigan State, not so much. I know it's early season, but where are you at on this Iowa team here, led really by the foundation of Drake basketball?
Yeah, look, I would say that they have a low floor because they're not extremely athletic. They're not overly talented, but they won a game in the NCAA tournament. I did not think that was going to happen. I was all over Missouri last year, and that made me look pretty foolish. So if you talk about the foundation of Drake basketball, they've already proven Missouri was way more athletic than they were in that game, and the lack of athleticism and the lack of top-end talent outside of Bennett Sturge didn't affect them there. I don't think it will in this season either, especially with the added talent they have. Elvaro Fulgaris, the transfer from Robert Morris, being amongst all of them. But this Minnesota game is not one that I want to completely, gloss over, just because Minnesota has played their Big Ten game surprisingly tight. They went and they dominated Indiana. They won by 9 at home. They beat Northwestern on the road, so home and a road win. And although the Purdue 28-point loss in their third Big Ten game seems like a little bit dramatic, this was basically a tie game at halftime. Purdue was up 3 at the half before going on an insane run. So for essentially 5 out of 6 halves in Big Ten play, Minnesota, led by an awesome coach in Nico Medved, has been really, really tight with their Big Ten opponents. So I wouldn't, especially because Iowa doesn't run, I wouldn't be surprised if this is sort of close, but also could be a complete blowout just because the talent gap is huge.
Yeah, I think that is fair. A team who started the year ranked 5th, not ranked anymore, and not really even fighting to be ranked with the loss to Providence, is St. John's. The thought was Pitino had a group this year, a really, really good one. The results are not trending that direct. Heck, Kentucky got this big win against St. John's that was going to turn the season around. Maybe it was just because St. John's isn't all that good. Where are you at on this Red Storm team?
Yeah, you nailed it with your last sentence there. They're just not that good.
Okay.
I was low on them coming into the year. I got a lot of flack. I live in New York City too, so I had people knocking on my door. No one was knocking on my door, but you get where I'm coming from. this team is not cohesive. They don't have guards that fit. They've allowed their playmaker, their best players, Zuby Ejiofor, their center. He has to be a playmaker because they don't have playmaking in the backcourt. And then they also don't rebound. They're a horrible defensive rebounding team. And Butler, who they play tonight, is an excellent defensive rebounding team. Or offensive rebounding team. So if St. John's can't fix the glass, which they haven't done all year, Butler could take 15, 20 more shots, in which case they win this game and the St. John's slide continues to slide.
Yeah, I also, by the way, it's very New York that you did have to clarify no one is actually knocking on your door. As someone from New York, that was a legitimately worth clarifying. I'll sneak this in, and Matthew, I really appreciate it. It's a selfish question, but since I mentioned Kentucky, similar situation, are they just not good?
Yeah, they spend a lot of money in the portal, but they spent it on depth. They don't have top-end talent. They expected Otega Owe to take a step up from last year. He has not done that. They don't have a top 30 player in the country, and how good can you be when you don't have a top 30 player in the country?
I think that's incredibly fair, and it actually really validates, especially the early losses. I know Owe came on, maybe he will. I think, is supposed to be so much better. He looks mostly like the guy he looked like last year, and I think they were expecting that not to be anywhere near the case. Matthew Whittick, incredible stuff. Basket Under Review. You can find all his work there. Does a fantastic job covering college basketball. Matthew, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We've got George Kurtz on deck. Avs Lightning leading the NHL slate.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. It is Game Time Decisions. We're joined by our guy, George Kurtz, who's it's always great to talk to George. We will mix in some NFL, but tonight's a rarity, George, in that I was not told, hey, it's a big NHL slate. We should have someone on. I said, hey, there's a big NHL game. We should call our guy Kurtz. Because for me, I know enough to know that when the Avs are under minus 120, that's going to pique some interest. This team, look, they lost a game. It's fine. But I think it speaks volumes maybe to how well Tampa Bay has been playing. George, I am sure you are betting this game. How?
Listen, you're not going to make money betting against the Avalanche. All right, so if you don't want to bet the Avalanche, then leave it alone. All right, I can't. And Tampa Bay has played well, but they're not in the same category as the Colorado Avalanche. I know the Avs have some injuries. Devin Tays has got out. He slid awkwardly into the boards the other night. He's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks here. I think his Olympics participation is also in jeopardy there for Team Canada, but he's out there still. I said I can't get. I'm not betting the Lightning here. I'm taking the Avs minus 118. It carries like when you take the Dodgers. Right when they have a great price, you can't pay. I don't care if they're facing Paul Skeens, Tariq School, whoever it might be. I'm going to take the Dodgers. I'm going to take the Avalanche tonight.
I think that is fair. I will say, George, I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on it. I am playing the over in this game at 6.5. The Avs coming off of a game where they scored just one goal. That's the third time that has happened this season. The prior 2 times they've scored 6 in the next game. And this big Tampa Bay win streak here has been tied to an offensive resurgence. They've scored at least 4 goals in all 7 of these consecutive wins. So I do like the over in this game, George.
Even if I didn't like the over, I'm betting the over because it's not minus money. We're getting plus money on the over, which once again sort of smells to me. It's sort of, well, we're going to win a 1-0 game here. It's not what's going to happen. It does smell to me because it's a ridiculous price. We never get Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning, 2 teams that can score goals, and we're getting the negatives of the under. We never get that. Never. So it smells to me, but yeah, I'm on the over as well.
So, George, anything else on the NHL that you'll be betting tonight? 1 or 2 key spots?
Well, we talk about my Islanders here, right? They don't score goals, all right? So against the Devils, generally a pretty good defensive team here. I'm not saying the Islanders are going to lose the game, but this game smells 2-1, 3-2. I'll take the under in that game as well there. Islanders been playing much better than we thought here. Dallas Stars Hurricanes, by the way, is another great game tonight, but I'm leaving it alone. Too good of a game there. I'll take the over, by the way. Anaheim Ducks and Philadelphia Flyers. Anaheim Ducks, another high-scoring team here. They score goals here. You might want to do the same thing. Canucks and Sabres. A lot of plus money with the overs tonight, which is mind-boggling to me. Love the Florida Panthers over the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. Minus 134. I know it's on the road, but not a bad price. And no William Nylander for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Now, George, I do want to shift over to the football side of things because there was a lot of stuff kind of happening today, and there's some coordinator stuff. And Eberflus was fired by the Dallas Cowboys, and they were the worst defense in football. It's interesting, though, because the Eberflus can easily point to, well, you got rid of Micah Parsons. But I think the more damning thing to me is Micah Parsons would have made the defense better. He wouldn't have made him one of the best defenses in football because they were the worst defense in the league. So you see Eberflus fired. Is there anything that Dallas can do, though, to get them to be an average defense, above average maybe this offseason?
Well, you want me to save a joke here? Jerry, stop being the GM. That would do it. All right, that would certainly do it. Dallas does have 2 number 1 picks, right? They got 12 and whatever Green Bay finishes up, 23, 24, whatever it might be. A lot of mocks have them protecting a linebacker and a cornerback in those picks there. That linebacker is a pass rushing linebacker. I'm not saying it's going to be Micah. No one's Micah, okay? But if he's a pass rushing linebacker, that will certainly help. I think what concerns me about the defense, by the way, Kevin, is after they made the big trade, right? You got Quinnen Williams, you had Kenny Clark, you had Osa in there who's 3 very good defensive tackles, yet the rush defense still sucked. All right? And no one's really talking about this. It's all about the passing. Yeah, the passing game, they had nobody who can rush the passer. The cornerbacks are terrible. But why didn't the rushing game get any better? The rushing defense get any better. So that's a concern there. Do I think it'll get better? Sure, as you already said, it can't get any worse. They were 32nd. Do I think it'll get better? Sure. And for Dallas to be a playoff team, it doesn't need to be top 10. Can it be top 20? Top 20 probably gets to the playoffs with that offense there. But to answer your question, I don't know. Jerry's going to dip his hands in there again. And generally, it's not the head coach who's picking the DC for the Cowboys. It is Jerry. And probably not the way you want to go about things, but then again, you don't want Jerry picking the head coach either. And he keeps doing that. So listen, the Cowboys are a top 10 dysfunctional organization in sports, right? Anybody arguing that? That's not going to change anytime soon.
So the funny thing is, George, I was probably going to ask the question anyway, but your answer, great answer, has made me realize I must ask this next question. How likely do you think it is that Dallas will be reaching out to John Harbaugh and potentially making him their head coach, despite many people liking what they saw from Brian Schottenheimer in year number 1?
That'd be 0. Big fat 0. It's not going to happen. He doesn't reach out to Vrabel. It doesn't matter who the hot coach is for 2 reasons. One, Jerry doesn't want to give up control. right? And if Harbaugh comes in, Harbaugh's going to have enough cachet to, hey, no. I make roster decisions, not you. All right. And who with that kind of cachet is going to want to deal with Jerry? That he wants to be in meetings. He wants to hold press conferences, during the week and after every game. Nobody with that kind of cachet is going to do that. All right. That's why Dallas will never have a legitimate head coach. There's a reason why Schottenheimer was hired on a Friday night last offseason. During right when there's a dead news story, that's when you bury stories there because Jerry didn't want to hear it about he hired another yes man there. Schottenheimer had a good first half of the season, did not have a good second half of the season. All right, he's got things to work on there. Do I think he has some upside? Sure. Do I think he's going to be the guy, Schottenheimer outcoached this guy? No, he's never going to do that. Like I said, Cowboys dysfunctional, but they'll never have a legitimate head coach in there. So Harbaugh's not coming to Dallas.
Interesting. I'm not saying it's my prediction. I'm not. It feels like one of these moments, though, for Jerry, where, let me ask this question to you, George. If Jerry wanted Harbaugh, do you think he would end up getting the yes? Because I do.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think if Jerry wanted him, he'd give him so much money, and if he wanted, that means he's willing to give up control. He gave it up for Bill Parcells. Remember, back in the early 2000s, he gave it up for Parcells when the Cowboys were a mess, so he can do it, yes. But I just don't. At this point in his life, he's not doing it. The Cowboys are his toy. It's his toy. All right, he play with it. He's not giving it up.
Incredible as always from our guy George Kurtz. We'll be right back here on Sports Grid, setting the best bets for the 7 o'clock window.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. We are back with you here on a Tuesday night. We have a lot that we can really get into with the head coaching search. I think we will do that at the top of the hour as there is really, so there was I'll just mention it and then we're going to do it at the top. But a report has already come out from Adam Schefter. Report. I think the John Harbaugh's agent told Adam Schefter that he has been contacted by 7 NFL teams There are 7 head coach openings. One of them is the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens contacted Harbaugh. That right there very specifically and loudly lets us know that there is a coach right now whose organization just tried to bring in a new guy while still employing them. We'll take some time. Let's think about who. We'll do it as a team. All right? We'll talk about it on the other side. College hoops at 7 o'clock. Penn State, Michigan, the number 2 team in the country, despite every single thing suggesting they are the very, very best team in college basketball. They're up to a 24.5-point favorite in some spots. I'm on the under 167.5. Whoa, this thing popped up to a 169.5. Oh, you know what that must be? They likely confirmed Yaxel Lendenborg is playing, and that popped the total up. So here's what I'll say about that. I still like the under because I don't think Yax is going to play that much. But it makes me feel good because if Lendenborg was out, this total would have gone the other direction. I think this is an under. I feel good about it. 167.5. But that Lendenborg, and Michigan tweeted it out, is going to start tonight in the battle here alongside your usual starters, Morez, Johnson, Cadeau, Ademara, the whole gang, all right? Duke, Louisville, best bet for AJ in the back on Louisville. Buddy back home, step-up spot, Duke. Sheesh. Oh, man. What are you going to do? Can it end in a tie? What if one of them took first half? Oh, man. Here's what I won't say. I won't say, if you told me the 2 individuals betting, who are you more likely to trust? I won't say. I will not say I lean over in Louisville. I won't say that. AJ. Sam likes Fresno State, San Jose State over the 149 and a hook. What time's that game? 2 a.m.? Got to be a late one. 10, not mad at it. Late night special. Only game later. Wolfpack, San Diego State. Little Mountain West action for the people. Chris is on Tyler Hero, Steph Castle for 15 plus each. That's at plus 106. I like St. John's over their team total. 84.5. St. John's in their last game. Zuby Ejiofor was really good. Couldn't make his free throws, but you forgive him when he scores 33 of 71 points and shoots 50% compared to the remaining Johnnies scoring 38 points on 21.4% from the floor. I think the whole group steps up here on the road against Butler in what projects to be a very high-tempo, back-and-forth basketball game. I am going to lay 5 with Iowa. Now, that is going to be an 8 o'clock tip, but wanted to let you know the sides. In the SEC, we are going to lay 6.5 with Auburn at home. And then even a little bit later on, we've got Houston. The one other ranked matchup at 7 o'clock is Florida versus Georgia. The Florida Gators, my preseason pick to win the national championship, are off to this rocky start. However, if you look at the upcoming schedule for Florida, this needs to be the start of a run. Okay, their upcoming games, home against Georgia here, double-digit favorite, almost, 9.5. Then they're home against Tennessee, they'll be winning at home. They'll go to Oklahoma, certainly be booked as a favorite. They'll go to Vanderbilt. Now, that'll be a tricky game, tricky number, all right? They'll host LSU. They'll host Auburn, and then they're at South Carolina, and then we're into February. Florida, if they are the team that I thought they were and think they can be, should not lose more than once. A second loss, you could somewhat forgive. A third, unacceptable. This is a team that should start to get on a bit of a roll here. Before, Bama, A&M, on the road, at Georgia, Kentucky, at Ole Miss, at Texas. The games are going to ramp up for the Gators here in February. They need to have a really strong January. Started on the wrong note with a loss to Mizzou. We'll see if they bounce back. College, NFL, coaches, who's going where? We'll talk about it. Game time decisions. Making it happen.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here on SportsGrid. College hoops tipping off. NBA slate will begin in 10 minutes. Pacers, Cavs, 6.5-point number for Cleveland on the road. And then the Wizards right now are going to lay catch 7.5 against the Orlando Magic. Let's talk some NFL coaches here. Let's start with Harbaugh. So I just want to expand on the fact that I believe the Baltimore Ravens have made the right decision here moving off of John Harbaugh. And so I think the initial element of this is actually not really debatable unless you believe this team should be moving on from Lamar Jackson. I don't believe that Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh were in sync for a while. John Harbaugh, many times prior to this season, but again this season, going to the podium, suggesting Lamar would be back in a certain time frame, and the Lamar returning after that time frame was a clear sign that there wasn't much communication. Or Harbaugh was trying to push Lamar back before Lamar was going to be ready, or Lamar is marching to the beat of his own drum. I want this to be clear. I think the seeming rift, lack of continuity from the quarterback and the coach is not all just about Harbaugh. I think Lamar is at fault and potentially even more at fault than Harbaugh. I think that's on the board. But I think when you're deciding between a guy who had been there for 2 decades and won a Super Bowl and a guy who was under 30 and won multiple MVPs, you have to make the decision to go with Lamar Jackson. Because the stuff on the margins with Harbaugh has not been good. It's not been buttoned up. Right? This is a team who's trying all these different things. Oh, they got games in the locker room. They're taking the games out. Except it's Lamar who's taking the games out, not Harbaugh. Right? So does he have his hands around this thing? It just didn't feel like it. So they made a decision that I think they absolutely had to make because they were going to stick with Lamar Jackson. Now, here's the other piece, though, of hiring John Harbaugh. How good is he? How sure is everyone that he's supposed to be the best coach candidate out there? Sorry, I'm not going to fall in line with the groupthink. I'm aware he is the best coach. I'd rather Kevin Stefanski. Call me crazy. That's fine. I know that John Harbaugh has had very impressive 14, 13-win seasons. They've fallen short with a supernova at the quarterback position. Lamar's first MVP. They're the 1 seed. They lose to the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round with Ryan Tannehill and Mike Vrabel. They scored 12 points in the football game. Harbaugh not your offensive coordinator or your defensive coordinator. I don't like that. They had another 1 seed and marched towards the conference championship game. They scored 10 points to Kansas City, and they inexplicably rely on the passing game, especially when it was a Chiefs team that struggled to stop the run, and the Ravens are always the most prolific rush attack in football. How does that make any sense? Again, Harbaugh's background is in special teams. Their season ended on Sunday with a special teams blunder. Oh, he doesn't make the kick. Sure, he's the one who decided to take a 2-yard loss on a kneel down with 14 seconds on the clock instead of letting Lamar Jackson run a play. It's a mistake on the margins you can't have. So for me, we'll talk tomorrow about the best jobs. Ranking the best candidates, it's a longer list than 7. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll talk about favorite pairings. But I don't think Harbaugh is the best coach on the market. Not for me. Again, doesn't do the offense, doesn't do the defense. So that means you're going to always have these cycles of guys in and out. And that's one of the reasons this defense hasn't looked the same since Mike McDonald left. What side of the ball does Harbaugh have his hands around? It's actually a little baffling, quite frankly. It feels like more of the same. Remember when Lamar Jackson wanted a new contract in Baltimore? And very clearly the league agreed that they were not going to step up and give Lamar Jackson all of the money that he wanted, despite the fact that he had already won a league MVP and was well worth the money that he had been asking for. Now he eventually got a deal done and stayed in Baltimore. I wonder, though, if maybe instead of the league agreeing to push Lamar aside, maybe this is a league that's just not high on Lamar Jackson. Because basically that's the only way I would listen to an argument that John Harbaugh is a can't-miss once in every decade hire for all of these franchises. I think what really people are interested in with Harbaugh is that the Ravens have won at a high level, regular season-wise. You expect him to make the playoffs, and you can go, oh, he won a Super Bowl. So it feels like a safe hire. But does that have a high ceiling, hiring John Harbaugh? Is John Harbaugh going to be coaching a quarterback anywhere near the class of Lamar Jackson? Jackson Dart, Fernando Mendoza, Shedeur Sanders, whatever Arizona does? I don't know. I do know. No, he's not. And yet, we're in a situation now where teams are going to be fighting over one another and firing guys in the building to hire Harbaugh. You go through the list. Have the Giants called Harbaugh? We know yes. He's the favorite for the job. It's his if he wants it. Have the Browns called Harbaugh? I would expect yes as well. I think that team would actually be pretty interested in getting Baltimore's guy, keeping him in division. The AFC North is like its own little world. So they'd be like, he knows how to win in the North, right? Kind of like back when a guy used to get hired in the Pac-12 or the Big 12. It's like he knows the conference, right? He knows the division. Have the Raiders made that phone call? Probably. Maybe not, because the Pete Carroll stuff didn't work out. Maybe they see similarities. Have the Titans made that phone call? I don't know. Are they too busy interviewing Jason Garrett? I mean, if they're interested in Jason Garrett, they're going to be interested in John Harbaugh. Falcons? I would think so. I think Arthur Blank's furious he didn't hire Bill Belichick. I don't think Arthur Blank even cares about how things have gone at UNC. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he thinks it would have been different. But I think with that fact, he's going to want to get a Super Bowl winning head coach here in John Harbaugh, if available. Cardinals, I don't know who has a gauge really on Arizona. There's a big move in the prediction markets for Arizona to hire Brian Flores. I don't know how much Harbaugh turns off those plans. Here's the point, though. If all 6 of those teams have called, there's still one team out there with their current head coach who is more interested in Harbaugh than the guy they have in the building. If 2 of those teams haven't called, then there are 2 teams. I think the Dolphins are like a big flashing red light that they maybe made a call, right? They have a new GM search going on, so maybe they just look for a complete do-over continuity situation. I think that's possible. I think the Jets are possible. I know they said they're going to keep Aaron Glenn, but Harbaugh's a big name, and that might interest them. Maybe Tampa Bay, who said they wanted to keep Todd Bowles, is more interested in moving off of Todd Bowles. The Green Bay Packers still have to figure out a deal with Matt LaFleur. Just saying. Cowboys, I don't think it's crazy. The crazy one, I don't think very likely, but not impossible. The Philadelphia Eagles. If you were going to fire the defending champ head coach, Harbaugh probably has the resume to make you think about it. We'll be right back here. It's Game Time.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? Nobody. So the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. Board is live. Gators up 15-14 on Georgia. That's high scoring early, but it's expected to be. 12 apiece, 5 minutes in, Louisville, Duke. Slow start, lead for Penn State, 12-8 right now on the Michigan Wolverines. That's where we are as far as the college hoops goes. Let's not forget the ice, people. We're involved. Anyone score yet in the Avs game? No. Has the puck dropped? Mean question. Sabres up 1-0 on the Canucks. Scoreless Flyers, Ducks, as well as Stars, Canes. So that's where we are right now with your live NHL board. I want to just take a quick moment here, if I may, to talk a little wild card round lines and just get a sense of some of the movement that we have already seen and, you know, where things are going to settle up here. So the Rams are a 10.5-point favorite against the Carolina Panthers. I am a little surprised that the number is a repeat of their first meeting. Now, if you know me, if you listen to the content here, I love my spread math, and being able to point to an exact matchup in an exact building, right? If they had moved this number, I probably would have been able to point to it and say, hey, look, boom, right? We've learned that this should be XYZ. I actually think you can kind of still do that a little bit, though. So those teams played entering the game at a 10.5-point number. Since then, the Rams lost to Carolina and then lost the 1 seed, and it's a playoff game. I tend to imagine that this is more likely the hook goes away and maybe even sneaks under 10 by the time we get to Saturday, then moves the other direction. Bears-Packers is a pick right now. It's going to keep bouncing back and forth. I think we see this number for what it is, but the money lines are starting to shade more towards Green Bay. And I'm not really super surprised by that. This, even a cleaner point to the regular season spot here for the Packers and Bears because of their multiple meetings in the regular season and that were not all that long ago. And, Green Bay handles business in the first meeting. They blow a lead in the second meeting, but that blown lead was paired with, of course, Jordan Love leaving the game early. I do think one of the interesting elements of just the entire postseason is the fact that we have not seen Jordan Love play football since that game. It's not super often. The comp spot that actually runs to mind for me is Jalen Hurts the year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. Hurts was injured. Now, it's not a one-for-one example. It's not. But he was injured against the Bears. I don't know if it was a concussion or not, but he was injured against the Bears, right? They went around trying to see if he had something against the Giants. Didn't, right? They ended up winning the game with backups, but it looked bad. They then got the bye, though. So he was able to shake off a little bit of the rust. They play the Giants. They win. The Niners, they win. They get to the Super Bowl, right? Maybe you point to last year's Hurts if you want, because that was a concussion, and we didn't see Hurts from the concussion until the postseason. It's just the gap to me isn't as long, though I guess, maybe I'm overstating it a little bit. I guess the gap was pretty similar. No, I guess the gap was pretty similar. I guess I thought Jordan Love was injured a little bit ago. And the thing for Hurts is Hurts did not, so he actually came out and was perfect on the opening drive, but it was I think 2 plays and a touchdown. He was great in the first quarter, but he was kind of bad from there on. But if anything, that might just be like a normal Jalen Hurts game, what we've kind of learned. Jordan Love was playing pretty good football before that injury. And I think that's the interest here. I think simply people believe right now Green Bay is the better football team. And I tend to agree with that. Look, I mentioned it's not really a secret. There's some interest in me betting Green Bay to win the Super Bowl. The hesitation on that is I'm not sure there's an NFC championship game in which I'm going to be interested in Green Bay. Because to me, so if you think about it, right, they beat the Bears and then they have to play the Seahawks in this scenario, meaning the potential teams that they could play are Philly, Carolina, the Rams, and the Niners. I really think it would only either be Philly or the Rams, and they're on the road in either one of those games. So they're checking in as a dog in either game. I think if I were to play Green Bay, I'd have to play them from a conference perspective because I might want to get out of it in the conference championship game, right? Instead of, now you get double the price to get to the Super Bowl, And you could maybe lay a little off conference championship game, let it ride Super Bowl. I don't really think that's very clean, though. But there is a little interest for me on Green Bay. We've talked about that. And since we've just done NFC, let me do the NFC. Maybe we'll do AFC next segment. Eagles, Niners. This line moved up, and I thought rightfully. So this started at 3.5, and it gets up to 4.5 here. And I think this is one of these spots where things are moving towards Philly because they took basically a bye against the Commanders and are at home and project to be pretty healthy with Lane Johnson returning. The Niners are the opposite. The Niners are coming off of an awful performance against Seattle, where even though they only gave up 13 points, you know the defense did not look good in the game. They're on the road, which outdoors in Philly, it's not going to inspire a lot of confidence. Defensively, they look a mess. You do not know if Trent Williams will be back for this game. You know Fred Warner obviously won't be back for the game. It's just a lot of things that point towards Philadelphia. Now, the Eagles have an incredible ability to win big games, and it doesn't feel good. So the confidence level doesn't maybe meet the record and expectations, but it also shows you a group that knows how to win ugly. So I'm not surprised to watch the number climb on Philly. We'll talk AFC after the break on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid, taking a look at the AFC wildcard round odds. And Jacksonville Buffalo is right now a pick. Total climbed up to 52.5. Are more people actually going to be on Jacksonville than Buffalo? Like sometimes the percentage of spread bets that you'll see, like on FanDuel, I will be suspect of. But that's it right now says more bets on Jacksonville. I've heard some favorable things around Jacksonville. that I wasn't entirely expecting. I think Buffalo, there might be a little bit of bloom off the rose in a way that did not exist 2 weeks ago. But it's interesting. Like, I don't think it's that Eagles game. Maybe it is. Maybe it's because they basically didn't play, they being Buffalo, the game against the Jets. Josh Allen and his stinking streak. I hate that, by the way. Play the game or don't play the game. You want a streak or not? You're not an Iron Man if you come in, take a knee, and dip out. That's just the real. Whatever. James Cook didn't play. Shakir didn't play. You know, Dawson Knox went out there for a touchdown and an incentive, but, you know, you just didn't have much going on there. Is that what it is? Browns game was nothing. Like, the Bills were soaring high after beating New England, and it just feels as if, like, if Buffalo beat Philly, would they be a 3-point favorite in this game? If Buffalo beat Philly, would they be the AFC favorites? I think yes and no to those two questions. But I think they might legitimately be a 3-point favorite if they had won that game. I know this about myself. It's been proven true in the history of this program. Buffalo interests me when other people are not interested in Buffalo. That's always been the case. That's how I ended up betting the Bills to win the Super Bowl the year they hosted Kansas City in the playoffs and still lost, obviously. That was, you know, a team worth getting in on. But Buffalo falls short of expectations usually, and I've been out on this Buffalo group all year. I need more people to be in on Buffalo. I just do. I don't think Jacksonville's a great matchup for them. I'll say this: the Bills falling as a public dog would be remarkable. Chargers are 3.5-point underdogs to the New England Patriots. So this happens when the playoffs against condensed, right? You want to be careful about groupthink. You want to be careful about not fully thinking through a game. I'm not betting any of these games yet. We're going to get Brady's thoughts on some of these. Pats Chargers was the one spread where I was like, ooh, interesting. Am I missing something kind of situation? Now, it's not that I thought New England would be a 7-point favorite or, you know, nothing crazy. But I thought New England, you knew it'd be over a field goal. You thought maybe it could be 5, it could be 6. Every point matters in the playoffs. Am I too on the Patriots? Am I too low on the Chargers? I think that's something that I'm trying to think. Now, again, the answer to this can always be, you are right. Line is light. Patch of the play, right? It's a game of all the games. That's one that I know I'm going to be spending additional time with because of my perception of the game. Like we talk, hey, what would be a surprising result, right? And you look at a lot of these lines, and outside of the Rams-Panthers, nothing should really surprise you. The Patriots losing to the Chargers would surprise me. So that's a game I'm gonna sit with a little bit more. And then Monday we get Pittsburgh and Houston. And this line's moving around. I think there was at some points 2.5s, then there were 3.5s. Now we have 3 everywhere. There's no more hook. So the re-belief in Pittsburgh has happened. Tomlin at home on a Monday night has not lost. Does that translate to the postseason? I don't know. Does it actually matter at all, regardless? 12-0 is 12-0. Extra time to prepare. At home, it might matter. That's a game people will be split on, I think, Texans Steelers. And I'm excited to get Brady's thoughts, so we're going to get those after the break next. And it's right here on Game Time Decisions.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? Nobody. So the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you here on SportsGrid, joined now by Brady Cannon, who we have talked through all NFL regular season lines with, but now we talk a little postseason action here, Brady, and it's probably a different bit of a beast. It's a lighter slate. Trying to time these bets up is always important, but you may not see as much movement as we're used to during the regular season, or maybe we'll see more. I want us to start with Panthers-Rams. Were you surprised to see a double-digit road favorite in the postseason?
Well, yeah, but I'm not surprised to see the Rams by double digits over the Panthers. I figured it would be 10. I think that's what it was last time, a month ago or whatever it was when the Rams lost outright to the Panthers. I don't think they're going to lose this time, and I wouldn't be surprised if they covered. If I had to bet this game, I would play the Rams. Every set of numbers I run comes to Rams by 2 touchdowns or more. When I get down to the nitty gritty, my number's 15.5. Now, is that saying the point spread should be that? No, I think I saw one store go to 11 today. I wouldn't be surprised if we close closer to 12 or 12.5. And I think it's justified. I think the Rams go in there and whoop them.
Brady, home field advantage in the postseason, does that go up at all for you, though, when making a number?
Yeah, it's a good question, Kevin. I mean, one of the reasons it probably does is because of weather. Like New England can be a very difficult place to play. Philadelphia could be a very difficult place to play. Pittsburgh, when it's January and it's cold or it's snowing, Buffalo. So I think things change in that regard. Maybe the crowd is, a little more lathered up and offering a bit more energy. That the energy in the building, that's really a lot of what home field advantage is about, in addition to the elevation in Denver, the weather, that type of thing. So yeah, it might tick up a half a point, in some cases for sure. I didn't necessarily apply it in my handicap to a greater degree. If you get a home game at Green Bay this time of year, that can be a decided advantage as well.
So let's take a look at the really tight line that we see between Buffalo and Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is the better team. The line did not surprise me, though, because I do not think they wanted to put a plus number next to the Buffalo Bills in the postseason. Not only, Brady, what did you make this line? Have you heard anything around town about this game early?
Well, I tell you what, I think you make a good observation there that they didn't want to make Buffalo an underdog. The public is likely going to gravitate towards Josh Allen. We know that no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. It's Josh Allen's year to finally break through. And I think a lot of people, really myself included, I'd love to see him do it too. But I think the odds makers know that the public is going to gravitate that way. I think it's a heck of a ball game, and whether you make Jacksonville a 1-point favorite, whatever, I think it's pretty darn close. My numbers come to Buffalo -2, so basically we're right there. And then Jacksonville has never really had much of a home field advantage at all. Maybe one of the worst in the NFL, but now maybe that's improved because this team has really had a tremendous year. So, if Buffalo's -2, maybe it becomes 1 or 1.5 with a little more additional home field advantage for a team like Jacksonville that's never really had one. So I think the line is spot on. What I did with this one, Kevin, is I took Green Bay +1 and Jacksonville +1 and teased them both up to +7.5. I think you'll get tight, exciting, competitive games in both of those. And I wouldn't disagree with you that Jacksonville's the better team. And I think the Green Bay Packers are the better team as well.
Makes a lot of sense. New England and Los Angeles is a game, Brady, that I was telling the audience, I feel as if we do this all the time, right? If you're really confident and they go 3.5, you just got to take a step back and think about, hey, am I missing something, or is this just a spot where I'm going to be confident in? What did you make New England and Los Angeles, and what are some of your early thoughts on this game?
I really think the line ought to be closer to 2.5, Kevin. I think anything better than a field goal is a take with the underdog here. I mean, schedule is a 4-letter word for New England fans, right? But, there's no denying it. A friend of mine put out on Twitter yesterday, Cleve TA, the New England Patriots defense is absolutely far and away number 1 in the NFL for having the highest percentage of snaps that they have faced against backup quarterbacks or lousy quarterbacks this season. Look who they've faced. Geno Smith, Tua, Bryce Young, Spencer Rattler, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Michael Penix, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Brady Cook, and Quinn Ewers. Okay, if you look at common opponents between the Chargers and the Patriots, the Chargers have a better point differential against those same opponents. If you look at playoff teams that both teams played, the Chargers went 3-2, and they played the Broncos. Don't count Week 18. I don't think anybody's going to tell me that week has to count. The Broncos, who they won, they beat. The Steelers, they beat. The Jaguars, the Eagles, who they beat, and the Texans, 3-2. Broncos, Jaguars, Eagles, and Texans, those are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. The Patriots, they played the Bills twice and split, and then they played the Steelers and Panthers twice and split. The Steelers and Panthers are the worst 2 teams in the tournament. So, I mean, this schedule stuff is real, and I understand the offensive line issues for the Chargers, and Justin Herbert's been beaten up, but you know what? New England doesn't have a great pass rush. The Chargers have the formula. It's like Jim Harbaugh 101. When he was at Michigan, wherever he is, they have the formula you want in the postseason. A rushing attack, a pass rush, and a good defense. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won outright. And I shouldn't say I wouldn't be surprised at all, but I think this is a close game, and I think the line ought to be under a field goal and not over it.
It's interesting, and I think it's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. I didn't know which way you would see it. Obviously, I said it. I see it the other way. I think one of the big reasons is I right now feel like there's a really big gap between these offenses, and I think the Chargers are the kind of I think the Chargers, despite everyone loving Justin Herbert, the Chargers are a lot more similar to the Texans and Broncos, where we worry about the ceilings of those offenses. And we worry about it because Houston's offenses always look bad, and people don't like Bo Nix. I'm not saying it's because Herbert's bad. I know the situation isn't great. I think there are certain numbers that the Patriots could hit that the Chargers just can't get to. Now, if game
I
plays
don't
to an under and
disagree.
it's lower scoring, Brady, then that would change the outcome.
The offense, you would probably give the advantage to the Patriots, yes. But first of all, a couple things. Look at the defenses they've faced this year. Not a single defense like in the top 5 in defensive passer rating. Okay, and then you also take the Los Angeles Chargers and on offense and look at some of the defenses. They played the Broncos, they played the Eagles, they played the Jaguars. They have played some extremely difficult defenses. The other thing is, if you just go back like the last handful of weeks, maybe the last month or so, in EPA per play as far as rushing yards given up, the run defense for the Patriots is like 30th in the NFL. And as I mentioned, the Chargers have a good rushing attack, and they're healthy. They got a week off with O'Mary and Hampton. Yeah, I think this team is – I mean, if this team had at least just one of their 2 tackles in the lineup this week, they might be – I mean, they're 13-1 just to win the AFC. That price is ridiculous. Think if they had Walsh still in the lineup across that offensive line. This team is a tough out.
If the Chargers never lost either tackle, they might have been the 1 seed, quite frankly.
Yeah. And what did Mike Tomlin say? If my aunt had male parts?
She would be the uncle. Mike Tomlin, what a guy, man. Sometimes I'm like, they should get rid of him, but only if someone else promises to hire him, which they would, because he really is a treat. Brady, incredible as always. We'll talk to the coach, James Young, after the break.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Light League will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, now John, with a coach, James Young, JY, host of both pro and college basketball today, right here on SportsGrid. JY, the slate is off and running. Before we get to what you are going to be looking to play before, in the next windows here, any action you're on live right now?
Yes, Duke off to a great start again, down by 10. I have Duke on the money line versus at Louisville. I just kind of looked at Duke's resume playing 5 KenPom top 50 teams versus 2 versus Louisville. I just figured better challenge, but Duke still really not playing well the last couple weeks. That Texas Tech game may have taken a little bit out of them. I took St. John's minus the points at Butler. I think St. John's will pull it out. They're down 2 right now. This kind of Butler team that did the same thing, then got smoked in the second half versus Villanova. This is another team that has underachieved so far. In the pros, let's see, Wendell Carter Jr., double-double with that plus money, double-double last 2 games. No Suggs, no Wagner. Wizards 25th in points per game to centers, last in rebounds per game for centers, double-double for Wendell Carter Jr., and I went with the Magic minus the points at the Wiz.
All right, so that is where Coach is live. How about what we have to come? JY, let's stay on the college basketball side of things. In the Big 12 tonight, we've got a ranked matchup between Houston and Texas Tech. How are you going to get involved in this one?
You know, it's funny. I'm going to go to my old staple, which is Houston games under. Now, I'm playing with fire here, Kevin, because they haven't been the defensive team that we've seen in the past. And Kelvin Sampson has talked about that. I think, you know, with Houston, I think we're undervaluing, honestly, the impact that Juwan Roberts had as kind of a junkyard dog for Houston. But I'm going to take a chance. 2 really good teams in the Big 12. Slow down game, grind it out. I went under 143.5.
I am on a Houston team total over in that game, so perhaps, JY, we can just root in Houston to rout them. And, you know, it could all be the same. But it's interesting. It kind of leans into some of what you said. This Houston team, to years prior, Coach, I think I might trust their offense a little bit more than the defense right now.
Well, I'm going to say this, and there's been some really good guys. Jamal Shed. You know, you can look at Cryer. You can keep going back. Marcus Sasser. Let me tell you something, Kev. Kingston Fleming's made to be the best offensive guard that Kelvin Sampson's had. And this kid's a freshman. It's a freshman. So now you have a 3-guard attack. Like, here's the thing. Emmanuel Sharp's had a good year. No one's talking about Milos Uzon. Like, that's how crazy it is that no one's talking about him. And he's the 3rd guard. And then you kind of look at the front court with Tugler and again Chris Sinak. The 6'11 center is probably going to be a lottery pick. So they are more offensively based. Mm-hmm. But I know that Kelvin Sampson's going to have to lean on his defense at some point, and we have not seen them put it together in like a Houston, like punch you in the mouth, 75-60 win. That's what I think you're looking at, and that's what I'm kind of hoping for as well.
All right, JY, talk to me on this Kansas game before we get over to the NBA slate here. Jayhawks in Big 12 action.
Well, listen, Kansas comes off a loss on the road at Missouri, and you know Darren Peterson played. Kansas has so much talent. I'm trying to lean in early on, Kevin, on teams that I think are the better team. Now, obviously, you know Jamie Dixon been at TCU for a long time, has done a really good job. But when you kind of look at it, both teams are pretty good defensively. Kansas number 7 in KenPom and adjusted defensive efficiency. TCU 20th defensive efficiency, effective field goal percentage, defense. Both teams are really, really good. I think TCU 51, Kansas I think is 3. So to me, you got to lean on if the game is close down the line, possession game. Who are you going to take? I'm going to take the team with the guy that can create a shot off the bounce. I'm going Kansas minus the points.
All right, JY going to roll with Kansas there. As far as the NBA slate goes, JY. Heat Timberwolves looks like the best game on the board here, I think, on paper. Anthony Edwards, and I feel like maybe having an under-the-radar season right now. Some of his averages are down because he left the game 3 minutes in. I still think that's kind of holding back some of the numbers. He's had 3 straight games of 30-plus. What do you like here in Minnesota, Miami?
And really quick, Kev, I was talking about this on Pro Basketball Today, which is now out. Go find it wherever you get it, whether it's podcast or video form. And I talked about MVPs, and you make a great point because I was like, okay, Wemby's out, right? He's out for maybe we'll see if he gets games. He's missed 14 games already. Joker's out 46 weeks. I'm like, all right, Brunson conversation, Cade conversation, maybe Jaylen Brown, maybe even Maxey, and I completely forgot about Anthony Edwards. That's how under the radar season he's having. and that's a good season. I'm going over 238.5. Heat over 3 of the last 5. Timberwolves 3 of the last 4. Last matchup with the 240. 2 of the top 7 teams in points per game. Offense. Give me over 238.5.
Jay, I want to ask you this. Can you hang around? We can get after this. Okay. I want to ask you this quickly then, because we have some prop plays from JY. I know you hang out on NBA Twitter. Some people are saying that the Thunder are broken because of Chris Finch, and I don't know if that is true, but I know the Thunder are not looking right now. I mean, this team has lost 6 of their last 12. They got smashed at home by Charlotte.
They got the Joe Lisi smash last night, losing 24-97. Listen, sometimes teams get destroyed. The Knicks are at that right now as well. I think they need to get healthy at the big position. I think Isaiah Hartenstein cleans up some of the mess and allows Chet to be that weak side rebound. Remember, also Jalen Williams did not play as well. So they need to get themselves right. Every team goes through this a little bit. Maybe we overvalue them getting that 70 when they're 3-9. That is long gone. Maybe they can now relax and focus and play the long game, which they should be okay.
I got to say, though, I'm not happy with that. Because Mark Dagnall to win Coach of the Year, I mean, I was counting that money already, man. I was counting that money on, man. That's 50-1, and he should be. Although, lowest price of the year, Cason Wallace, DPOY, 35-1. Check your bingo cards. We'll be right back. Get some prop plays from JY on the other side. It's game time.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Carnell Tate is entering into the NFL draft. Would you like to know how poorly spaced out the college football playoff is? I saw that and went, oh my gosh, he's going to go to the draft instead of playing in a playoff game? That's how bad this stuff is spaced out. Like right now, right now, 5 seconds, tell me who's in the college football playoff. Right now, you have 5 seconds. Right now, tell me who the 4 teams are. Right now, you don't know. You don't know. Like, that's not true. Like, you do know, but it's crazy.
I know.
It's hold on a second. JY, coach is here. Who am I talking to? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Ole Miss
JY.
Miami Thursday night, and
Who do you like? Who do you like?
Oh, Miami. Listen, here's the thing: if Miami has the lead, they're gonna rush that quarterback. This kid ain't gonna know what hit him. They listen. This is a different Miami team that usually attacks you on the perimeter. They line it up. And remember, they struggle Ole Miss to stop the run. Favorite play.
Yeah.
Fletcher over rushing yards.
Right. And then, what do you, IU, Oregon, you cap that game?
Listen, hardest thing to do is beat a team twice. Now, I know everybody likes this guy Mendoza, but Dante Moore, shout out to Todd McShay. Your father gets fired from the Jets, and now you're trashing your selling kid not going to jail. How you doing, Todd McShay? See ya. So, anyway, I'm going Oregon in the upset. Beats Fernando Mendoza and Indiana. Sets up, which it would have been funny if it was Indiana, because remember, Fernando Mendoza's from Miami, so that would have been interesting. Miami versus Indiana in Miami with Fernando Mendoza going home, but he doesn't make it. He loses to Oregon. How you doing?
And I just want people to know this, all right? You at home, you might be saying to yourself, now hold on. Coach isn't a college football guy. What am I supposed to do with that information? All bets have two sides. So you do whatever you want with that information.
I mean, Kevin's going the other way.
No, JY, I would never have an Ole Miss future and find myself right now drooling at your analysis. That would be crazy. That'd be crazy. Trinidad Camblers! JY, what do you...
Trinidad James. Trinidad who?
What do you like here, JY? No, believe me. Now, JY, what do you like? Props in the NBA.
Who got the props? Coach got the props. Daniel Gafford over 8.5 points over 3 of the last 4 games, going against the Sacramento Kings team that is last in points per game. The centers, last 3 centers have gone an average of 2.5 points over their prop, and he has gone over the last 2 times versus them. Remember, no Derek Lively, no AD. Give me Daniel Gafford over 8.5 points, and then Luka. Can't you see? Sometimes your passes just hypnotize me. Look at Doncic over 8.5 assists after 4 of the last 5 games. But 7, listen, he's got 7 or more in 5 straight. No Rui, no Reeves, which means he's got to create off the bounce. Pelicans second to last in assists per game, and he actually keep it close so he plays. Give me Luka over 8.5 assists.
Oh, man, that's great. That's great. Rui. I know. Imagine I didn't know where the Luka thing.
It only took you 2 years to know what that was, though, by the way. I don't know how it took that long.
I don't know either. It's really one of the more impossible things of all time. I don't know. I can't figure it out. You like this Lakers squad doubling up Memphis? Were you impressed by that?
Listen, isn't it amazing? All hail to the king. You know,
great breakdown. Jay White, you don't even have to say much else there. No, Jay White, I'll be honest with you.
All hail.
That's the best analysis all show. This guy knocked it out of the park.
Coach is trying to get on 3 times a week. So sometimes I got to get my guy a little bit. I got to.
There he goes. This guy can't help. He can't help himself. He's so crazy. Man, oh man. JY, folks, I want you to know this, all right? I want you to, right here, me and you. I want you to hear what Coach just said. You've now seen him once this week. If you do not see Coach 2 more times this week, it's on him, not us. Secretly, that's a setup. The college football player song. There's no way Coach is coming on 2 more times. Although, he clearly capped the... You know what? I could have said something. Best bets tonight. Root him in. Just know this. I would have complimented JY. Someone else, not so much. Good guy Kev. They don't talk about it enough. In-game live. It's next.